A father and daughter climb to Troll Peaks at the beginning of the film. After ascending, the father Tobias tells his daughter Nora the troll folk story. The large mountain in front of them, he continues, is really formed of petrified trolls. At first, Nora does not accept this, supposing it to be only a ridiculous fairy tale. But he is surprised to see the trolls' expressions when the sun shines onto the large mountain. A team of archaeologists is conducting excavations close to searching the ocean for dinosaur skeletons. The current professor of paleontology, Nora, is a member of this team. Her colleague has informed her that due to the lack of dinosaurs, the institution is discontinuing financing. Nora, however, will not give up. Fortunately, she finds several dinosaur bones at this very moment. This makes her and her team members happy. Troll Peak Mountain, meanwhile, it is being tunneled through by a group of miners for their subway project. Due to what they are doing, other demonstrators nearby encourage them to stop. Doing will damage the magnificent mountains. Then the miners use some strong dynamite to demonstrate to the demonstrators that they are unstoppable. When the miners enter the tunnel to determine how the explosion affected it, it unexpectedly falls and rumbles, quickly murdering them. The Norwegian military feels this at that exact moment. Troll Peaks Mountain is showing heavy activity, so someone sends several planes to see what's going on. The general instantly notifies the commander after spotting a sizable hole in the mountain. Prime Minister on the predicament. Besides the large hole they have discovered, the enormous footprints that have been discovered nearby are also reported to the Prime Minister. They are therefore forced to assemble the top scientists who can assist them in identifying the imprints and the hole's source. One of these persons who they recruit is Nora. She is presently rejoicing with her team for unearthing significant dinosaur bones. As soon as possible, the military helicopters her back to the capital, so that she can be informed of what transpired. She encounters Andreas there, the advisor to the Prime Minister swiftly leads her into the gloomy meeting room where generals are present. Scientists as well as other experts. Given that Nora teaches paleontology, her knowledge is helpful for the conference as well. But some scientists make fun of her because they assume that she only understands dinosaurs. After that, other researchers begin to speculate on the gaps. But Nora observes that they unmistakably resemble footsteps. Once more, they make fun of her since there aren't any creatures that big enough to leave such tracks. Sigrid, an agent of intelligence, enters the conference room to display the video of the last mining accident, where they state with certainty that a creature is to blame for all of this. The other scientists still think it is not a creature in spite of the video. Nora, meanwhile, is headstrong and prefers to move quickly than wait. Beyond just debating whether it is true or not. As a result of the Prime Minister enjoying her approach. Assigned as a scientific advisor is Nora. Andreas then informs her that they must go, due to a recent incident involving an elderly couple's home, to a valley. An elderly couple previously had a frightful close brush with the beast when they haven't seen it with their own eyes, but their house is trodden on by it. In light of this, Nora and Andreas fly there right away. Andreas chats with her about her passion in paleontology to pass the time. She claims that it stems from her early love of nature. She then informs him that her mother has passed away and that her father's excessive faith in fairy tales caused him to go insane at some point in his life. Andreas then acknowledges his lifelong desire to be a writer. Nora, however, has stopped paying attention because she can now see the elderly couple's home in disrepair. Chris, a soldier, briefs them on what occurred. He informs them that the animal they were kilometers away from them when they abruptly stopped walking in the direction of the south. The three of them then proceed to a tent where the distressed elderly couple will be interviewed. The elderly guy said that during the most recent event, it appeared as though a mountain was heading in their direction. Moreover, his wife claims that she overheard a melancholy howl coming from the moving mountain. The three leave after hearing the elderly couple's testimony to continue looking into the location. There, Nora uses UV light to inspect the footprint. Check to determine if a biological imprint was left by the organism. She just sees rocks and stones, though. When the footsteps are claimed to have abruptly halted, they continue south. The soldier informs Nora inside the chopper that the footsteps ended in. It's impossible since the beast is too large to magically vanish in a rocky area. The information does not make sense and has so far just perplexed Nora. Because of this, she requests that they see his father. They so proceed to a little cottage in the middle of nowhere, where a ragged, elderly guy threatens them and welcomes them with a shotgun. It turns out to be Tobias, and when he recognizes his daughter as the object, he releases them and lowers his rifle. Inside the disorganized residence, the many newspaper articles that are pinned on the wall catch Andreas' attention. Tobias tries to talk about their substance, but Nora swiftly tells him that today, something emerged from the mountain. She displays to him the previous mining video. Calamity, telling him that despite their best efforts, following the footsteps has failed. Then, she requests that he offer a scientific justification for this, without turning to myths and fairy tales. But Tobias launches into a diatribe about how these are reliable evidence that trolls exist despite the government's efforts to suppress and hide them. When Tobias then requests to go on an adventure with him, Nora is forced to accept. She needs her father's assistance, so he joins them. As a result, they return to the trail's terminus. Tobias excitedly scans the area around the tracks for any indication that may support the troll's existence. He checks the region and then informs his daughter that the map indicates that the terrain has altered. While they are near, Tobias uses this chance to inform Nora that she is lost. Nora responded that she had merely grown up by telling him that she still had her youthful wonder and curiosity. The father and daughter are startled when they see an eye protruding from the rocks. They discover that the rocky area where they are standing is in fact merely a sleeping troll in disguise, demonstrating the reality of trolls. They quickly depart via helicopter and send the video of the incident right away. The Prime Minister and her cabinet members by sending a troll to the military. Nora, Andreas, Chris, and Tobias leave for a neighboring base to speak with the Prime Minister about this video call to minister what they have observed. However, Nora cautions her father not to bring up the word troll to characterize the monster. Tobias still speaks it proudly before the Prime Minister's cabinet. He even claims that their interference with nature has prompted it to go on the rampage. The Prime Minister decides he doesn't want to believe the elderly guy, to use force to retaliate against the troll. As a result, Nora chastises her father for launching on another rant about myths and fables. After that, Tobias informs her that their trip has recently started, which reawakens Nora's innocent interest. Chris is urged by Nora, Tobias, and Andreas to permit their attendance in the military operation as a result. Due to their persuasion, Chris accepts but only if they would obey his directions. And thus, the nocturnal military action began. While awaiting the appearance of the troll, as they discuss the events leading up to their separation, the father and daughter come to terms. The troll eventually shows up after some time, but it stops in its tracks. The commander then gives Chris the go-ahead to start firing at the stone thing. The troll's wound miraculously heals after a rocket missile strikes its flesh, so just fueling its rage. Chris then gives the command for all soldiers to launch a full-scale assault. However, after seeing that their combined onslaught had little effect on the troll, the troops began to leave. Chris, Tobias, Nora, and Andreas shelter from the chaos beneath a fallen tree trunk, next to another soldier who is meditating. Tobias notes that the soldier is a Christian. Instructs the other members to leave the soldier behind. This is due to the myth that trolls can detect the presence of Christian blood. As a result, the troll swiftly seizes and devours the Christian soldier. But instead of completely escaping, Tobias makes the decision to become friends with the enormous beast, which he does for a while. But when a clueless soldier approaches the monster from behind, the beast gets angry once more. The troll then unintentionally pushes Tobias away and, before fleeing, strikes the soldier who is firing at it. Despite surviving the impact, Tobias is severely compromised. Then, in a coded message, he informs his daughter about a king and his palace before ultimately succumbing to his injuries and dying. Nora therefore sobs bitterly for her father. This breaks the hearts of even Andreas and Chris. Nora soon after rejoins the military. She spends the remainder of the night studying all of her father's notes at the base. The troll has halted again in another valley. Chris reports Nora the next day. They'll attack it with an airstrike. Nora is perplexed by this because it appears that the soldiers did not take last night's experience to heart. She claims that all the fairy stories about trolls must be true. As a result, they disclose their intention to employ mythology to the Prime Minister's cabinet. However, one of the cabinet members thinks this ludicrous in dealing with the troll issue. However, Chris, a skeptic, surprisingly endorses Nora's suggestion because He had seen personally that the beast is unaffected by modern weaponry. The general, in turn, has accepted this idea since they must examine every alternative. As a result, the Prime Minister consents to implement her strategy. They learn, nevertheless, that the troll is heading towards a theme park. They promptly carry out their strategy to tame the monster as a result. The idea is to employ 4 helicopters equipped with enormous church bells to mislead the troll. The ringing of church bells offends trolls. As a result, they are able to momentarily stifle the troll. They did not anticipate that it would ultimately strike back, though. 3 helicopters are quickly brought down by the troll. The displeased troll, however, continues to assist innocent people by blocking, preventing a helicopter from hitting people below. The troll then chooses to depart the park, of going on the attack again. This event was quite public. The stone creature's story spread like wildfire throughout the world. It makes the Norwegian government uncomfortable. The troll has been reported to the government. The Prime Minister thinks it ought to be forcibly removed right away. But Nora is still adamant that the troll has to be dealt with differently. But she is ignored by the Prime Minister, observing that nobody else will pay attention to her. Chris and Andreas exit the building as Nora does. When Nora was absent, one of the Prime Minister's members of the government have suggested using nuclear weapons to combat the troll. Whether it will also obliterate the city. Andreas resigns as a result of this. On the site and swiftly overtakes Nora to inform her of the departure of the capital. The Prime Minister quickly follows up by announcing in the press that she is declaring a state of the approaching threat has caused an emergency in the capital. People consequently abandon the area right away. Andreas and Nora are departing the city in their car, and Nora is fascinated on the term sending appears frequently in her father's novel. But she doesn't understand what it means. Then, Andreas explains to her that it must be referencing the surname of the who dwells in the palace, the Lord Chamberlain. Nora then recalls her father's remarks about a palace and a king. She tells Andreas to because she realizes something. Turn around swiftly, then go to the palace. They then reach the palace in the capital, where the guards draw their weapons and look directly at the 2 people. An elderly guy named Sinding appears out of nowhere and commands his soldiers to stand down. Then he informs Nora and Andreas that he is anticipated there. He is astonished that it is Tobias' daughter who is visiting tonight. Then Sinding permits the 2 to enter the palace, where he tells Nora despite the fact that Tobias was a stubborn guy, he thought he knew and appreciated him extremely well. Sinding informs the 2 as he guides them to a hidden area within the palace, that this palace was truly constructed on the site of the Troll King's palace, according to history. Nora and Andreas discover the massive bones kept beneath the palace in a startling surprise. This belonged to the trolls that mankind long ago exterminated. They discover that the troll they first confronted is really the Troll King, was seduced from the palace during the time that Christianity was becoming more and more popular. Tobias had said that the Troll King was only returning to his home, attempting to inform his daughter before passing away. Sinding claims that while Tobias was around they sent him to a mental institution in an effort to prevent him from finding and revealing the truth. The bones are burning, as Nora can see when she uses her UV light to monitor them. She decides that the troll is vulnerable to sunlight and asks for the largest vehicle Sinding has. Once you've obtained the car, she then phones Chris to ask him to assist them with her idea, and he says yes right away. They create a strategy that incorporates utilizing the resources they have since they have everything they need. To entice him from the palace and into the surrounding park, she used the skull of one of the Troll King's relatives. Chris will then set up the situation with a few of his army friends. The park's powerful UV lights will be utilized to control the enormous beast. Soldiers are attempting to stop the Troll King from entering the palace as he approaches it slowly but steadily. It's preferable to defeat him with all of their assaults, since their weaponry have no impact on the Prime Minister finally consents to using nuclear bombs on any living being. They act quickly to carry out their strategy. The bomb is being prepared by the military. Andreas is informed by Sigrid of the military's destructive intentions. She then follows Andreas' instructions to buy them some time by breaking into the military's computer network. In the nick of time, Sigrid succeeds in hacking the system, stopping the military from launching the attack. After the military has left, Nora and Andreas meets the Troll King face to face. The monster first ignores them as they head in his direction. However, the troll emerges when the vehicle's hidden skull is revealed. King loses his temper and starts after them. Nora makes a call to complete while being pursued to Chris. They have less than 10 minutes to prepare since they are moving quickly. Chris addresses his fellow troops in a stirring speech following the summons to act soon to defend their cherished capital. Andreas and Nora are now en route to a bridge when they dump the skull behind them. For a minute, the Troll King glances at the skull, who is saddened by the fact that he is the last of his species, and himself. The skull is then unintentionally broken as he drops it to the ground. The Troll King then develops into much more upset with Nora and Andreas. This is why the Colossus continues his chase of the two. While everything is going on, the cabinet member discovers. The military swiftly regains control of the bomb once they discover that Sigrid is the one accessing their system. Andreas and Nora ultimately make it to the park, where the whereabouts of Chris and the other soldiers is known. The enraged Troll King swipes the automobile that Nora and Andreas is the driver. Fortunately, the two are able to get out of the car in time. With everything prepared, Chris and the troops open their UV lights. The Troll King can't move because the intense lights are too much for him to take. The scorching heat forced him to leave his position. The military is about to bomb in the meanwhile, when they see Nora and the others nearby with the beast. Therefore, the general issues the owing to the presence of civilians, the pilot aborted the mission. The warriors are already rejoicing in their win. Nora cannot help but feel empathy for the dying creature. As a result, she orders the Troll King to go right away as she hastily shuts off the UV lamps, but in spite of her best attempts, the creature is lost as dawn light turns the Troll King into a massive boulder. Dedicated to her father, Tobias Boulder is the name Nora chooses for it. Immediately, the Prime Minister and her staff arrive to the location to evaluate the large boulder. She tells Nora there that she is amazed by the accomplishments of Nora. Then Andreas informs the Prime Minister announced his resignation and announced that he will now focus on his writing career. Andreas wonders if there are any more trolls in the woods as the film comes to a close, making Nora grin like she's prepared for a new adventure. In the cave where the credits take place, when the Troll King arrived, there is another movement and a loud roar. The movie is fantastic because it explores the concept that mythology and fairy tales may exist, proving to be true, which will unavoidably conflict with our current, scientific way of thinking. But I believe the main takeaway from the film is that nature will always strike no matter what we do back, in one way or another, against us. Therefore, we must learn to comprehend, can coexist with nature rather than merely trying to control and destroy it to meet our needs. Please share your thoughts about this movie in the comments section. Additionally, if you enjoy my videos, please click like and subscribe for more. Next time I'll see you guys.